Oh, yeah. What is up, everybody? How we doing today? I'm not going to wait for you to respond because I'm talking to you. So that's good. I'm glad. I'm here live with you guys, but also with Jon Fitch, UFC legend and former champ, who is the fucking man when it comes to this stuff. And you guys are here with me live as well. And I'm just whatever. I'm doo-doo. Most people would never hear me say that. Most people think that I have this.
You've fought in wars and shit. Don't let anybody.
That's true.
Take that away from you.
Yeah, I have done that.
Fighting in a cage. It's not easy, but it's not the same thing as bullets whizzing by. It's not at all. Yeah. It's not the same as your buddies getting blown up. And
well, no, there is. Man, I talked about this actually. I talked about this a little bit though. I'll tell you one thing. Because I've done jiu-jitsu competitions before, and I'm actually thinking about getting into and doing some lower level Muay Thai competitions this year. And I'll tell you, you go through the same processes, and the problem is, and the thing that's different is, when you go out on patrol and all this other stuff, in the back of your mind, it's there. You're like, oh, I could, and I could definitely step on a fucking IED, and after you step on an IED, holy fuck, like life is completely different. But you're not sure.
It's over.
What's that?
Or it's over.
Or it's over. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you get into a cage with another human being in direct combat like that, and you're going into combat, it's completely different. Completely different. It is legitimate combat. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's equally as scary. Mine's a little bit, like combat overseas. Like war combat, it's a little bit different because you're doing it like every single day, and you have to fight that battle. So it's like the ups and downs of, adrenaline and fighting that battle was what I mean. It's like, well, today could be my day, or today I could step on a fucking IED and I could lose my fucking legs or maybe my dick, and that's not cool. Or I could watch my friends get killed. Whereas when you go in the cage, it's like, fuck, I could lose teeth. My fucking nose can get knocked in. I could have my eye socket fucking smashed.
You're gonna get hurt.
Yeah,
you're gonna get hurt. You're even if you fight a perfect fight, you throw one punch, knock the guy out. There's a good chance your hand's gonna hurt for like 3 weeks afterwards.
For sure.
It's just
facts. Most people don't understand that when you go in the cage and you fight like that, you fucking hurt yourself. Like, you guys just do a really good job of staying as stoic as possible and not showing,
the adrenaline helps. I mean, the adrenaline and the focus helps.
You guys are pretty well fucking trained by that point in time. You've simulated this form of combat, and you've had people throw hard hits at you before too, where you're like, you can somewhat have a poker face. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff you don't feel until a day later, 2 days later. And you're like, man, why is this so sore? What happened here? You watch the tape back and you're like, oh, okay, I took a knee there in the third round. That's why I'm sore.
Man, I used to train with Joey Beltran. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, I do.
The Executioner. That dude used to he throws some his hands are so fucking
great heavy. Fighter. He's one of those guys that just I don't know if cardio was the issue, or it could have been
it's discipline. It was
mental,
discipline. That part too. If
some guys are great, but they psych themselves out in the fight. I mean, that happens in everything a person can put themselves into. If you're not there mentally, you can fail at your job, whether you're a computer programmer or you're fighting somebody in the cage. If you're not mentally on top of things, it's easy to second guess yourself and fail.
I got to get to know him quite a bit as well, and it's just when we talk about having a upbringing where it's very feminine centric and all this other stuff, that's kind of what he fell to. And when a guy is raised by a mother like that and it's very femme centric, it's very easy for you to become destructive. Whenever you start tasting success, it's very easy for you to be like, you're good. I do it all the time. It's very easy for you to just be like, well, this is going to fall apart and things are going to end poorly, so I might as well just be the arbiter of my own demise. Let's go fucking mainline some meth. That'd be great. You know what I mean? Like, so that's a huge proponent, believe it or not, of masculinity. And I think that's also a huge proponent as to why we're seeing so much failure as far as our society is concerned is, when we are raised and we do have men who aren't initiated into manhood and they have a scope and a perspective and a reality that's steeped in the emotional ups and downs of what a mother provides.
Well, I was thinking about this today, actually. It's the idea that everything that we know and we're raised in this blue pill kind of mindset is backed against if it's whether it's good or bad, and it's the feminine that decides if it's good or bad. That makes sense,
like
right?
that.
So
Yeah,
we end up judging everything by the feminine perspective, and that's not a beneficial thing for a man. If you're living your life under the feminine perspective, you're going to crush yourself.
Oopsies. Yeah, absolutely. Most people don't realize that, especially for men, we have to have a life that's steeped in reality. What does that mean? That means rationale, right? We have to understand the inputs and the outputs, the consequences for our actions, the reason as to why things are the way they are, right?
Even understand just the idea of what's wrong and what's right. Oh my God, you're talking to two girls at the same time. Yo, you're such a horrible person. While at the same time, that girl you're talking to is talking to 10 other dudes.
Right.
But we're raised to believe that, oh my God, you're a piece of trash. You're a trash human being because you're talking to more than one girl at a time.
Yeah, well, it's pretty funny that there's just these double standards that are placed. The thing that most people don't understand is women are constantly trying to create an environment where they're most comfortable. And that's actually something that you have to push back against.
Survival.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for them, fine. I mean, you have to do the same thing for yourself. Where are you most comfortable?
Yeah, and then what are your options then when you figure out where you're most comfortable?
Yep.
And you got to figure out how to get uncomfortable.
Well, you should get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the idea. Always striving to be better. The pursuit of perfection, right? Perfection it's never going to happen. It can't happen. But the glory in life is the pursuit. As long as you're pursuing that perfection, that's where your true happiness and joy is going to come as a man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to. So there's a big difference. Let's talk about it, I guess. There's a big difference between mastery and perfection. Let me tell you the difference here. Mastery is an evolution, right? Everything is cyclical in a way, right? And really what it comes down to is you're on the outer edges, and then with mastery, you just keep winding yourself in. So let's say perfection is the center of the circle. Mastery is just something that's going to continue to go around the outside of that circle. Let's just say, right? So for me, for instance, how do I know that I'm becoming masterful in something? Well, it's not that I become perfect in it, because that's an impossible standard to place on the human condition. We're not here to be perfect. That's boring. Perfection is boring, right? And there's just too much shit. The thing that you need to do though, what's that?
The pursuit of perfection is exciting.
Agreed, right? So how you become masterful? You become masterful when you start to realize that you're losing yourself and you're going away from your ideal, and then you start to implement in the strategies as soon as possible. Does it make sense? So, okay, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu right now. Everyone understands and knows what blue belt blues are, right? If you're listening in and you don't know what blue belt blues are, usually what happens is when you become a white belt, you automatically assume, or you're automatically like either hooked or you're fucking done. You're out, right? You start learning this thing called jiu-jitsu. You're the nail for a long time. And then all of a sudden you walk in one day and you're like, oh my God, I'm getting this jiu-jitsu thing. And usually when that happens is when you get promoted to blue belt, right? Or just a little bit afterwards.
Yep.
Now, the thing for most people is when you get that blue belt, it feels like you've achieved jiu-jitsu in a way. As weird as that sounds, you're like, oh, there's really not that much more that I need to learn. You know, I've kind of mastered side control and all this other stuff, and it's really hard. It's hard on my body. I've reached this level of blue belt. I'm proud of myself. And then most people at this point in time start going through like a de-evolution in a way where it's like, I don't need to go to jiu-jitsu as much. I'm a blue belt now. I know more than most people, right? I've made it to this next level. And then they slowly stop going, or they start giving up on training more.
It's also because you know how long it took you to get to that blue belt and the amount of work it took you to get there. And the next belt, purple belt, it
is like
seems
2 or 3 years away.
yeah, it
Yeah,
seems like
yeah, yeah.
forever away, and it
That's like
just
a
feels
fucking
really,
college degree, man. It's
yeah, it seems
crazy.
like really, really difficult to like make yourself keep going just to get to that point, which, you know, I'm critical of it, but at the same time, it's a good thing when they started adding the stripes, right? So now
Yeah,
you
like
get like 4 stripes, 5th stripe is another belt.
Mhm.
Like when I started out, there were no stripes. It was blue belt until you got your purple. And if
Yeah,
that took you 2 to 5 years, tough. That's just what it
yeah,
was. There was no incremental like update. And like the tournaments they threw you into, you know, you get your purple belt or you get your blue belt and you go against a blue belt who's been a blue belt for 2 years,
yeah,
you know, and then
yeah.
you get crushed at the tournaments also. And that's really discouraging. So not only do you
Right,
have like 2 years to go to get to your next belt, but you go out to compete and these guys just destroy you. So
right.
it's really easy to understand why people give up.
Yeah, the learning curve between a new blue belt and a seasoned blue belt is tremendous.
Huge.
But also the same thing though that you gotta understand
As
is
much white belt to you
your
know,
learning curve
let's
as a
say
white
white
belt,
belt to
your
blue
first
belt.
6 months is like exponential. It's like here and then it just oops, I hit my right? And then you hit blue
Yeah.
belt and you hit a little bit of a plateau and you're like, "Oh fuck.
Mhm.
I thought I knew some jujitsu and all this other stuff and this is where it's getting hard."
The gains
Now,
get between fewer and far between.
how do we get to BJJ again? What were we talking about?
Mastery,
That's right.
and chasing perfection.
Yeah, so where I was going with that is this. Now I'm a 2-stripe purple belt. Started off the year. I started off at a new school last year. This time last year, Alliance Jiu-Jitsu in San Diego. Fucking phenomenal school. Like amazing jiu-jitsu players and just teachers and all this other stuff. And like I got hooked right off the bat because I'm like, oh man, I'm learning all this other stuff. And then I started to get pretty good. I started to tap black belts and brown belts and all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you know, and I'm like starting my channel and I'm writing my book. So I started to take time off. And then I quickly started to realize like when much like with blue belt and you have to like fight yourself in order to go back in. I thought I was past the blue belt blues, but still, even as a purple belt, you still have these times and these ebbs and these like these peaks and these lulls, right? And you have to figure out, okay, when these things start to happen, what do I need to do? Because it's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to show up to jujitsu 5 times a week, every single week, get my fucking brown belt in a year and all this other stuff. It's like life happens, kind of like what we were talking about before we came on air. Like, yo, I got to prioritize some shit right now. I got to fucking start making money, or I got to build my fucking content, or I got to do whatever.
Yep. Maybe you got to get your cardio up. Maybe you need to lift some weights. Maybe you're just getting crushed in jiu-jitsu practice. And if you lifted weights for a couple of months, is supplementing your jiu-jitsu practice, you're going to do a lot better.
Yeah. And that's the thing with mastery too, as well, is it's not always going to be this way. Sometimes you got to stop and you have to go in a different direction. But the thing is, you realize I am meeting resistance right now. And when I meet resistance, what do I need to do in order to get back on the track and the level that I need to go in, right? So it's even with diet right now. Mastery over diet. Most people don't understand that you need to have mastery over your diet, right? In today's world, it's so easy to not
to be a fat turd.
I honestly think that is probably the biggest addiction that we have in our
100%,
100%.
food addiction, 100%.
It's so easy. So easy.
Everybody's entitled. Everybody thinks they're entitled. I'm entitled to this donut or this whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of doing the same thing. Oh, I worked hard now and I can go and I can do that. But the thing is, you're allowed to slip. You're allowed to slip. No one is asking for perfection when it comes to that, but just know when you're slipping and then knowing that when you are off balance, right? When you're out of that mastery kind of thing, how do I get back to this quickly?
I think where it's really important to regulate your slips. If you can plan your slips ahead of time, like with diet, if you plan your cheat meals ahead of time, it makes it way easier and you don't slip and fall down the hill. You know what I'm saying? Like I eat correct 90% of the time. Well, that allows me 10% of the time to goof off. And that means I get a couple cheat meals on the weekend and that keeps me sane. That keeps me from going downhill. The problem is when you run into a situation like Halloween and you got bags of candy everywhere and you end up snacking on candy and other garbage. excessively because it's just around all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. For me personally, that's man, I always struggle even when it comes to a cheat meal, because the next day, you know, your taste buds end up fucking just falling back in love with
So
the stuff.
I like to follow cheat meals with fast.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, because then that way your body's able to process the right bacteria and all this other stuff to get it out of your system.
So I'll
That's
eat.
really
I'll
smart.
go on a date Friday night. That's cheat meal time.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, some people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't go on meals to dates or whatever." I don't care. I like to go out to eat because that's my cheat meal, and I don't want to just, you know, be a savage smashing steak and lobster by myself in a corner at a table in a restaurant. I'll bring somebody with me. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll do that sometimes. I'll sit at the bar and just eat or whatever. But
yeah, for sure.
Like
But you've already programmed in, this is where my fun is going to happen, so I might as well put both in there.
Yep, might as well, because my time's limited anyways with having kids. So like, I got to make my nights off count. So I'm not going to waste a night just on a cheat meal. I'm going to have my cheat meal and then have some lady friend with me too.
That's good stuff, man. That's I mean, those are really good things. When we're discussing the topic of mastery, you've already set up into your schedule. Hey, I know, so I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through these processes because I know, one, I'm not going to be perfect on this diet.
Can't be.
Right? I'm not going to be perfect on it.
You're going to break down.
Right,
I got a box of Costco-sized box of Ritz crackers in the pantry. I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to be able to completely stay away if I don't give myself a little breathing room on the weekend.
But then you wrap it around some kind of, in a way, ritual, right? Your Friday, Saturdays are your cheat meal days, right?
Good way to put it.
So
ritual,
yeah, it's a ritual. I'm going through, and then on Sunday, I'm back to discipline. And how do I get back?
I'm going to start burning incense.
There you go.
At the restaurant. Think they'll kick me out?
Well, actually, you know what's funny is everything that we do is ritualistic and everything ties into a certain way. I read this
survival, man.
Well,
it's all survival. Like when you find a pattern that keeps you alive, you try to stick to it.
Right. Well, I started reading something where I guess the whole thing is they talked about this ritual of like medicine men. And it's like they go through and they wash their hands and they put on these white robes and all this other stuff. And then they put on their garb and all this other stuff. And they even say some words of encouragement and all this other shit. And then they walk into the ritual floor room. And then the end of the thing is, this is your modern ER doctor. Right. So it's like even that guy, even with Western medicine, you can consider that a form of like, you know, ritualistic medicine. That's what they go through. They go through a ritual before they go and do all this stuff. There's symbolism that's involved in all this stuff. The purity of the white, the stainless steel and cleanliness of it all. Like you could consider that really in our mind as a Western person, we're like, oh, that's not a ritual. That's just a fucking standard operating procedure. But the fact of the matter is it is a fucking ritual.
I mean, that's all a ritual is a primitive SOP.
Correct. Absolutely.
Oh, now we got to kill the virgin, and then we sacrifice the lamb, and then we feast. That used to be the SOP, but now we have it different. Now you go in and you get your blood pressure taken and your weight and height. It's just another ritual.
Yeah, I'm reading some stuff in the chat here.
There's
the board behind the guy with a Wagnerian neck beard says, "It's your fault. Whose fault is that beard?" Hey, yeah, bro. If you're gonna come in here just to talk shit, man, come with some better content, please. Yeah, you know what I mean. Hang on. Let me hone in on this real quick. I love fucking tough guys that come in that don't have themselves as their avatar, that don't have an avatar. Like you're sitting here and you're talking to someone who's fucking sub 10% body fat, who could fucking destroy you, who's a public figure and is actually doing something with his life. And you have the balls to critique things without actually fucking shining the mirror back on yourself. You are the epitome. You are the epitome of what is wrong with our society today. You want to sit here, you want to point and sputter. You want to point and sputter, but the fact is you don't fucking compare. You don't compare. You know what you should do? Here, honestly, if you want your fucking voice to be heard, go and start your own fucking YouTube channel and fucking produce some content.
It's free.
Seriously, it's you can do it. You're
Free
on
country.
YouTube right now. You're sitting here fucking typing away. Why don't you go start your own channel, buddy? You're too serious. Beard guy is laughing. You're too serious. No, the problem is this: you don't have any accountability and you don't have any discipline. And the fact of the matter is, what's really going on is you're intimidated by two guys that could actually hold you accountable and help you become better, but you're scared to actually take the steps forward. That's why you're trying to turn the fucking chat into a joke. We're sitting here and we're talking about mastery and bettering yourself, and you're obviously doing. Yeah, I'm talking to you, you fucking knucklehead. Dude, seriously, keep going. I'm serious. Keep taking up my fucking comment section. It's only going to help out with the algorithm. Seriously. I love it. Anyway, go ahead, John.
Well, he had mentioned, that same guy mentioned the cheat days are just ways to get intoxicated on sugar that isn't fermented. It's lesser of two evils. Probably better to eat sweet rather than the booze. Maybe, but like, I like booze. I like drinking whiskey. It's fun.
You know my stance.
And I'm not all about. I don't need to dye all pink in the middle.
Yeah. I don't drink alcohol. I don't believe in it. I do it for my own reasons and my own purpose and all this other stuff. Just because I don't like to disassociate any longer. Does that mean that everyone has to follow suit of what I say? No. But for you, like you talk about, you have a ritual around it. It's only a certain time frame that you conduct this behavior. I got
a handle on my what do you call them? Vices. You only live once, you might as well enjoy it. But when you start letting those things get in the way of living, that's a problem.
There's something up here too. Ricardo Rivas said, definitely appreciate the carnivore post on WarTribe. I missed a webinar on your talk of alpha widowing your mane. I asked about it on WarTribe. I haven't checked in yet. Yeah, I didn't respond to it just yet, bud. We'll discuss it. It's a long story. Anyway, I could talk about it here maybe if we got time, but that's about it. Nick, he has a good question for you. I don't know if you want to hit this one regarding mastery over your children. Is there a good reason you hit your son, or is Molyneux off on
that? Man. Okay. So that's gonna be a little bit nuanced, like physical, whatever. Like I've maybe slapped my kids on the bottom less than 5 times total between the two of them in 5 and 7 years. They're almost 8 and 6. Man, like I'm a big, scary dude. I can get a lot done with raising my voice. So I do that. I would grab my sons by the neck. That's about as physical as I would get with them. I could, I'm a strong guy. Like I can grab you by the neck, and that's enough to let them go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mama Tiger will grab you by the neck too if you mess around. I'm not leaving marks. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not making anybody cry even. Like my kids are
no actual abuse there.
No, it's just
your number one.
It's like, hey,
you're not leading off as my number one tool in the toolbox is, you do something out of line. Guess what? That leads to physical discipline, right? From stuff that, so here's where,
and on top of that, like one of the reasons I would use that, the neck grab, and it's been 5 years almost. Well, no, it's been probably about 2 years since the last time I had to grab one by the neck, but that was because they ran out into the street. I'd rather put the fear of God into them with that neck grab than them get run over by a car.
Right. Yeah. That's the other thing too. I mean, I'm no parent, but I've sat there and I've studied Molyneux stuff for a while. And obviously I was a Marine for quite some time. So I had to fucking deal with literal children for a little bit as far as leadership is concerned. And then I have a dog, right? And when I got my dog, I said that I'm not going to hit my dog, right? But then there's sometimes, like I've never hit my dog to this day. Still to this day, exactly like what you said, it's an escalation of force. Can I use something in order to, number one, negotiate? And if someone sits there and says you can't negotiate with a dog, you're full of shit. You just got to become more resourceful. The number two thing is demeanor, right? Just demeanor, number one, like
body language.
Yes, exactly. Number three is then voice. If that's not coming through, if I'm not communicating through my eyes or my stance or whatever, next is the voice. Escalate to a stern voice or whatever. But if there's something, here's the thing that you got to understand too. Kids, especially boys, their revolutions are going to spit out of control sometimes. Where voice and is not. They're so targeted on this one thing that you have to break it. Cesar Millan does it with a little. You know what I'm saying? It breaks that cycle. It breaks that little. I'm fixed on this one thing.
I do a hey. Like,
yeah. No, that's perfect too. You got to slice.
I've done it in a public place where everybody stopped. We were at the store, we're at a restaurant, hey, and then everybody stops. You hear like dishes drop in the back because everybody's like, oh fuck, like what was that? It's just an energy burst, and then the kids are like, okay, yeah, that's serious.
The other thing too, and this is where Steph goes wrong. I think Steph is just so anti-violence. I think he doesn't like, he's so scared to be violent that you could see it in him, that any type of violence that's brought up, like he's not trained in violence, so he avoids violence.
Not used to it. Yeah,
exactly.
Like people who have never been around a gun are terrified of guns.
Right. Yeah, and they have this ultimate fear because one, they don't want to like it. They don't want to like the gun, even though they know they're going to after they fire it and learn about it.
Fun, man. Controlled explosion.
Yeah, it's a fucking, it really is a tremendous hobby. Especially like marksmanship on its own, like archery and all this other stuff, great. But then you add in this machine that's like an ultimate equalizer. It really is.
My
awesome.
My ex was afraid of guns a little bit, never shot one. She was afraid of balloons because she was afraid they were going to pop.
Oh
so God. I took her to a range in Vegas and she shot a 50 cal saw. She's not afraid of balloons anymore.
Right. Yeah, I love fucking saws, man. They're awesome.
Fucking crazy.
But what it comes down to also is you can never get to a point where your kids feel so secure that you're never going to hit them, because that's another ultimate entitlement. And that's another thing that's really wrong with our civilization today. Steph talks about some of the biggest issues that we have in our society is IQ. And if you were to just breastfeed your kids, because it's actually statistically shown kids that are not breastfed are 5 IQ points on average lower. And then kids that are hit are on average 5 IQ points lower as well. Well, the thing is that he misunderstands. Number one, I agree with the breastfeeding thing. I've done my research.
Is it the hitting that drops their IQ, or were they low IQ before they got hit? Because maybe IQ is hereditary. Maybe their parents were low IQ.
Well, it's saying that I guess so. There's a difference between being raised in a household where there's hitting and there's not, and it's on average 5 IQ points. So that's
correlation isn't always causation. Maybe it's not the hitting. Maybe the hitting is a result of the lower IQ.
We can simply solve a lot of this though through like what you talked about, but there needs to be some aspect of violence in the household. Mainly this. Hear me out on this one real quick. The other thing though, and this is where Jordan Peterson talks about it, is rough and tumble play.
Yep. I read a couple articles. I don't know if I sent you those articles, but he's got some great stuff about rough and tumble play.
You could probably be a parent that doesn't actually physically strike their kids. Now, the biggest problem that we're also talking about, and I think this is where the IQ differential comes in, is when you have a parent who is so low IQ or just EQ. So another thing that we got to talk about is emotional quotient. Someone who, like my father. So let me explain this with my father. My father would lose control of his emotions and then rage would come out. And that's when he would start using fists. And that's when he'd want to discipline, because he was so angry and out of control of his emotions that he would just go on a fucking rampage with me, right? You can't have that. That is not a good situation to raise your kids in. The other thing too, though, is this. I'm also so low IQ that when it comes to punishment, I only have one tool in the toolbox.
Yeah.
Right? Hitting should come down to a point where it's like, I gotta do this. I gotta do this one thing. So the tool shouldn't be removed from the toolbox, because obviously spare the rod, spoil the child kind of thing. But it also doesn't mean every time the child does something, I need to use the rod, right? It doesn't mean the causation doesn't, or the correlation doesn't equal causation or whatever. Causation doesn't equal correlation. What it means is you don't have to use the rod every single time in order to not have a spoiled child. But the rod needs to be something that's on the table, plain and simple. Now, if you do rough and tumble play, though, you are also able at that point in time to demonstrate how much stronger and more efficient you are.
You build levels of trust. They start to see that, okay, this person can pick me up, throw me around, put me down gently, softly. There's levels of trust that are placed there.
But also, and this is something that most people don't talk about, I'll see kids sometimes that come up, and I've rough and tumble played with kids and all this other stuff before. There's sometimes where they'll come up to you after they're getting all aggressive and having fun, and they'll come and they'll sock you in the gut.
Yep.
Right? Like hard. And it's like, now I have to, as crazy as it sounds, now I actually do have to demonstrate my level of strength to let them know
No,
that
yeah, you have
you
to.
did there was not good, right? Because I'm
You
tougher
develop
than
boundaries. You show the
correct,
kids boundaries. Like they don't know.
correct.
Like my kids do this. So like I'll be rough and tumbling, playing with them, roughing around, throwing around, and one of them will get up on the couch and then knee bomb me, like in the back. Like I've got to stop them and correct them. Like, hey, that's not okay. You need to. You can't be that rough. You're going to hurt somebody. If you did that to your brother, that would be a big problem. And they start to learn, okay, well, you can rough and tumble, but like there's a certain barrier where it starts to get into injury zone, and that's not a good place to be.
Yeah.
But
Sorry,
the kids that don't do rough and tumble play, they never learn that. And some of the articles that I've read about rough and tumble play, like kids that don't get it are more likely to be ADHD or ADD.
well, I think that there's also some correlations too between abandonment early on with ADHD, and other things like that as well. On top of not being breastfed, there's actually a lot of correlation between ADHD, abandonment issues, and not being breastfed as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's because
I
children
can see
didn't
that.
receive
No,
proper
no
nurture.
emotional attachment to your mother, I think, is creating all kinds of problems.
That I think that's one of the biggest issues.
Being given away, and this goes into what I was going to say about the whole, being physical with your kids, with the hitting your kid, presence, being present, right? Being around your kid. The more you're around your kid, the less likely you're going to have to be hitting them.
Correct.
You're not going to. Your discipline is going to change because you're there. You're around your kid. You don't have to be a helicopter parent, but like I do work around the house. I shut off the electronics. Say, hey, you guys play. I'll go in the garage. I'll do something. I'll be doing work, and they'll see me doing work, and like I can keep an eye on them while I'm doing my work. Right. So they get to see me do something I am involved in or care about, and I can just, hey, easy, put that down. No, you're not doing that. And then I can continue to my work.
They know they're being supervised by the people that brought them into the world, plain and simple.
They know you're there. They know you're around. And I take this from my childhood growing up. My mom was always around. So like when she wasn't around, I was less likely to cause trouble because I still felt like her presence was there.
Oh, that was the same thing for me for sure with my father, but I feared my father, right? And somebody said something, I want to come back to this one point in a minute, but somebody did say something about that as far as fearing. Oh, fuck. Kids should fear their parents. I fully agree, but parents should try to be just. They should show them respect like they want it themselves. Agreed.
Yep.
The thing is, there's a big difference between respect and fear. I feared my father, but I didn't respect him. Why is that? Because my father wasn't consistent with his word and his actions. And you can see this. Your kids can see this from a very early age, believe it or not. Most people assume kids are stupid, but people understand and kids understand congruence. So my father was the typical do as I say, not as I do kind of guy.
Yep.
But I feared the shit out of him. Why? Because my father would go off the hilt.
Well, I mean, there's that incongruence. That incongruence threatens your survival. So
that's true.
That makes a lot of sense why you would be stressed out and you probably have PTSD from that incongruence. Like you never knew when shit was going to come out of nowhere for no reason.
Yeah. I became hypervigilant because of that. As a kid, you're sitting there full and well. First and foremost, you know that your survival in your own house is threatened, right? Because it's like there's this fucking maniac that can go off the hilt emotionally for fucking whatever reason. So then you start walking on eggshells for everything, and you start trying to control. You start trying to control every aspect. And when you're 6, 7 years old at this point in time, it turns into a lifestyle. Respect is a different thing, though. Respect is like, I'm capable of doing these things, and I'm not going to do it. But also the biggest thing that most people don't talk about is most parents try to be authoritarian. There's a level of authoritarian when you are in charge, but the biggest thing you need to take is you need to take up the space of being a mentor. The goal of being a parent is not to create somebody who is a carbon copy of you, but instead is to raise up someone who's going to be a fucking viable member of society. I know that sounds crazy.
All your job as a parent is to be the bumpers in the bowling alley. You're the bumpers in the gutter, right? That's your job. The kid's got to throw the ball himself. You get to be the bumpers for him until become the teenage years or become 18. Then the bumpers go away.
Yeah, everyone should fear. Fearing consequences is a little bit hard because one of the things that, for me personally growing up, I feared failure. And the thing that I've learned through failure is it sucks, but it's also one of the greatest teachers in life.
Have to have it.
That's why I'm saying being a mentor is the best version to take. When your kid fucks up, it shouldn't be aha, I fucking told you so. It should be like, all right, that hurt, didn't it? Okay, what lessons did we take away from this?
Yeah,
and then
we learn from that. What can we do better next time?
Yeah, exactly. So if you take it from a mentor, like you got to go into it, just like what you talk about with your diet. Mastery is this with your kids. It's understanding they're going to fuck up and allowing some lateral limits for them to do so. Boys will be boys kinds of things. They're going to do stupid shit. You got to allow people to do those things, plain and simple. And that's why I don't like what's going on in the world today, where we're expecting fucking perfection out of everyone and we're bubble wrapping society all at the same time. It's like, no.
We're not expecting perfection out of everyone.
I think
there are some people out there who are completely without accountability.
Well, you're right in one aspect, but then you're wrong in another, right? As far as so your level of perfection is coming from a masculine level of perfection, where it's like we're holding people to these standards of physical identity and all this other stuff. But in a feminine perspective, it's saying the right thing and making sure that everyone feels welcome in a space.
Yep.
So perfection to them, and that's what we're living under, is this feminine ideal of. That's essentially what political correctness is. It's a perfection of making sure inclusivity and all this other stuff, and people are saying everything perfectly so that it's whitewashed and there's no shame or guilt.
There are no boundaries or anything that'll make them feel bad.
Correct. That's their identity of perfection. So that's what I'm saying, and that's what this politically correct agenda. Exactly.
Damn you for making me feel bad about the thing I fucked up, or holding me responsible in any way for making a mistake. That is the femme primary way. I like this Matt W. The statement or whatever post he said, my dad used to flick me hard in the face or forehead. LOL. I got a couple strong flicks to the forehead too.
Yeah, that's crazy. My dad's flicks
were just the top of the head. Bunk. Like, oh, I got a couple of those.
I'm trying to find where Matt said that so I can pull it up to the screen.
It was up a little bit higher. The mark is 3:25 p.m. That helps.
3:25. Gotcha. Perfect. Thanks for. Yeah, there we go. My dad used to flick me hard in the face and the forehead. Yeah, my dad used to do that too when I was younger. And then it escalated up to like ear pulling, to the point that my dad, you could hear the cartilage like cracking in my ear. Man. That's how hard he would fucking pull my ear. It was crazy. But his fucking fingers were so big, it would make that noise. You know what I mean? Like you'll never forget that fucking noise, bro. Nope. Seriously.
Nope.
Agreed, Corey, but to a point. A coach, teacher, boss can be a mentor, but a father is much more. I agree, but also there's some authoritarian to being a coach, a teacher, and a boss as well. Being a CEO, you have to essentially what it comes down to is, and everyone should understand this, masculinity is all about boundaries. Okay, that's what our job and our role is within society. I like to consider my boundaries being Spartans on the front line. And if somebody crosses my boundaries, that's when I have to come in and I need to strike with deadly force the person or the thing that is trying to get through, right? Trying to puncture my boundaries. And that's where it needs to come in. And that's what a good mentor is too, though, to be honest with you. When you start to cross over into these boundaries and go through, that's what's wrong with a lot of us today. That's what's wrong with a lot of us men, is that we haven't had men that have upheld boundaries. We see it in our society, in our government, right? We see that. That's mainly what's gone on. We've allowed women to come in and just literally shit all over any type of boundary in the name of progress. And the reality is those are very destructive things that aren't supposed to happen and should happen. So now us men, we sit there and we think that we're doormats. We think that's what a man should be.
I think of it as it's empathy gone wrong. Like it's empathy gone too far. Like you can't be so empathetic that it ends up causing negative reactions.
Right. It's almost like it's like people caring more about the tapeworm than caring about their own life.
Well, in Australia right now, they have the fires going on, right? But there's people who are demonstrating the climate change activists, whatever. They're demonstrating right now, and because they're demonstrating, it's taking resources away from fighting the fires and helping the animals. but they refuse to stop protesting. So they're killing a lot of animals and they're destroying a lot of property by not staying home. And they're like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. We're all burning because of the environment, blah, blah. And if they would just stay at home, there would be more service people available to fight the fires and help the people in need, but they refuse. That's empathy gone way too far.
Yeah, it's man, I don't know if you notice this about lefties in general though, but lefties in general, especially the people that we're seeing in today's world, the far left, they seem really obsessed with this idea of like doomsday and Armageddon. And it's almost to the point where they're really on team, kill off all humans. Like they want to see the demise of the species.
They have a death wish.
Yeah, they want to see the demise of the species. Honestly,
like this is the way things should be. This is the way things should be, and because they're not, we're all going to die. So
yeah, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
You guys,
we're all fucked.
If you guys don't change and do things our way immediately, we're all going to die. See, look, we're all dying, and they're embracing it. And it's like what they really want is everybody to die. They want everybody to do things their way or die.
Literally brings up a great point because they hate themselves.
That's why communism kills a lot of people. It's the same thing. We're going to force you to get on board with our bullshit, or we're going to put you in a work camp. We're going to put you in the gulag. We're going to kill you.
I feel it. You're absolutely right, Live Free. It's because they hate themselves. People try to control outward things when they have no control over themselves. People turn these pet projects into their pet project. Look at most of these fucking land whales that are crying about the environment. No, I'm serious. Like the majority of these people,
they should eat less processed food.
I agree.
That would probably.
Well, they'll also sit there and tell you that they'll sit there and they'll tell you that they're vegan. And the reality is, like, in no uncertain terms, being a vegan is the most entitled form of diet that you could possibly ever have. You think you're ethical, but the reality is, you know how much resources go. We are not meant as a species to eat vegetables for every single meal. There's a reason why there's seasons, and there's a reason why fucking trees and all this other stuff only produce a limited amount of fruit, right? Like we are just not meant to be living off of that kind of diet. But here you are.
Well,
and then you're fucking using all these resources to turn your fucking fake food into fake meat. It's like, look at the fucking full of estrogen.
Oh, yeah.
I was just about to say, look at all the fucking resources and logistics that go into creating an Impossible Burger. You fucking retard.
It's like 44 grams of estrogen or something.
Nanograms of estrogen. It's more fucking estrogen per serving than a no kidding birth control pill.
That's insanity.
It is insanity. It's because they have a death wish.
Joe Rogan, I caught about half of it, but he had on a guy to battle the Game Changers documentary and how bullshit it was.
Who was this? Because I haven't seen the documentary, but I
haven't seen the documentary. I watched half of this thing. And there's another one with James Wilkes. So he put up both of these guys on. So there's two podcasts I need to watch. I need to finish watching that first one, and then I need to watch one where the other side is there also. But one of the things he was talking about was the amount of animal death per plate of food if you eat meat or if you eat vegetables. And it's like there's like 20 some deaths per the vegetarian, vegan plate versus one death for the animal. So it's like it's not a morally superior position to eat vegetables and be a vegan. Like the fact that factory farming is bad is fine, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't eat meat. It means we need to do something about factory farming. We need better ways to create the meat we need to eat
in a more ethical way.
More
sustaining.
It's more sustaining, and it's not. And there's people who do this. There's ways that it can be done.
Like you can go look at Butcher Box right now, and that's what Butcher Box is all about. You can eat a fucking butt ton of meat, right? And it's all ethically sourced meat, grass-fed beef. Everything is ethically sourced, and you could have literally fucking. I should get a coupon code for that just for pitching Butcher Box right now. But you could type in the code Rogan, and man, I think I looked at it the other day. I went to Costco instead, but damn, like your first one is practically free if you type in the code word Rogan using Butcher Box. But yeah, there's people out there that are doing that. They've realized that this is not the solution. Being a vegan is not the solution. It's just how do we ethically?
No, I mean, I tried it. That's the thing I need to get across to a lot of people. Is I was on the other side. I tried veganism for a little while. I was a big believer in it. I read
No way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was I read man, I can't remember what the Skinny Bastard. I read Skinny Bastard first, right? And that led to the China study. And I was hardcore. Oh, wow. We all need to go. We need to get off of meat. It's bad. I was a believer. I believed in that stuff. And it destroyed me. It like partially ruined my career. Like I hit a bump and went downhill for a little bit. And it was because I lost my body. And it took me a little bit of time to build it back up, getting back on the meat. The other thing was I was blue pill, right? I was a lifelong Democrat until maybe the second month of Obama's presidency, right? I believed in this shit. I was like, The Princess Bride was my movie of choice. Like, oh, I'm going to have my true love and all this bullshit. Like I was on the other side. So it's not like, oh, you're some incel who can't get girls or whatever. It's like, no, I was on that side. I was on that bullshit. I was even possibly one of the early SJWs.
Yeah, you were a stormtrooper in the fucking blue pill.
Because I was against what the government stuff was doing. I was like, I couldn't believe the cops shot these people, and I was tweeting all this stuff. And yeah, I learned it's mostly bullshit. Like a lot of shit is just there's the manipulation. There are people in power who want chaos. They want people to argue, and they want you not to know what the truth is.
For sure. Yeah, and the thing that most people don't realize too about this, and all these people that are coming out, what's the name of that movie, that documentary that you're talking about?
Game Changers, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. The thing that people don't understand is this. These people built the majority of their muscle mass based on eating fucking carbohydrates and proteins with high levels of proteins. That's how they got to the point that they're at. Yep. The other thing is this. You don't know what levels of fucking hormones they're properly injecting into themselves. And that's the thing.
That's what I learned too, was because I was I was researching, looking at all these people who are vegan athletes. Oh my God, they're studs. Look at these guys. Look how in shape they are. I'm going to be ahead of the curve if I do this too. And then you discover they're on crazy steroids.
They're on crazy amounts of steroids. Hormones, SARMs, peptides. They're on everything.
TRT,
everything. And then they're sitting there telling you that.
Veganism is the way to go. But they're injecting themselves full with a lot of stuff. Popping Anavar pills. Crazy.
Ooh, Anavar's good.
I've only heard about it.
Yeah, I've only heard about it too.
I've heard about Anavar for the first time because I found out a lot of the women
take a lot of it. Yeah.
Women take it. The servers in Vegas, they're all attractive and hot because they all pop Anavar.
No way.
It's part of their job. They got to look good. Well, the Anavar, raises testosterone levels. It's gonna help you develop lean muscle, so your weight's gonna be able to stay down. You're gonna be hotter, and in that work environment, being hotter means more money.
Right. I thought it was just cocaine, though, to be honest with you. But.
Well, Anavar, fake boobs, and cocaine.
Cocaine. I like it. I'll take it. Not going to commit to you, but I'll take it for the night. Let's see. The most violent I have been in total of my history was when I was vegan for like 6 months. Was near out of my own control all the time. Glad to still be here. I wonder why that is.
Could have been just the hormone shifts
went wild, I'm sure.
Yeah. If your testosterone dips, like I don't think that's a good thing for you emotionally at all.
Absolutely.
That's why I think, most of these psychiatrists are absolute quacks. If you have a guy who comes into your office who's depressed and he looks a little effeminate, the first thing you should do to that guy is ask him to go get his testosterone levels checked. I mean, it doesn't matter where you are mentally. If you got like your testosterone levels are like 400 or 200,
your hormones dictate your reality. That's the crazy thing. All we are is chemical soup, and the way that everything operates off of, believe it or not, are hormones. So if your hormones are fucking out of whack, but the first thing they're gonna want to put you on though is fucking antidepressants, which control your hormones in a different way. But it's bad because you're going to be controlled. Right. The thing is, though, testosterone is the most freeing substance out there, as crazy as that sounds. You want to be an individual when you fucking have high testosterone. You want to chart your own course. You want to chart your own history. You want to do your own things. You want to live life on life's terms or on your own terms. Right. And that's why testosterone, and I mean, we can go fucking completely Alex Jones here, tinfoil hat. But that's the reason why I think our government, honestly, is really trying to push down testosterone. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we're seeing a lot of that. Aside from
and the people who
lifestyle and all this other shit, but we really don't know what they're putting in these fucking vaccines. We don't really know what they're putting, the type of stuff that they're putting in our food or in our water, or any of this shit, you know? So
the people who end up getting hit with that the most are poor people, poor and uneducated people, because people who have money, rich people, they're all on TRT. Look at Jeff Bezos. Like he started getting a little bit of money. What happened to him? Fucking yoked, right?
Yeah. That's a natural propensity of people, though. When you start making more money, I mean, well, I shouldn't say of all people, but like for me, for instance, and I talk about this a lot to the guys in WarTribe and just in general on this channel, the greatest investment you could ever make is into yourself. Mm-hmm. When you start making some money, the best, instead of sticking it into a fucking bank account where you make 0.02% fucking interest, like go and buy your
inflation.
Yeah, go and buy yourself a course. Go and buy yourself something that you know is going to help you. Like in the back of your mind, you kind of know some things that you should fucking invest in that are going to help you out and make you better. If testosterone and TRT is one thing you need to do, I'm a huge fan of people.
Yeah, if you're not competing against other people for money or whatever, like
right.
Like be
healthy. Competing in the marketplace, might as well.
Like I don't need testosterone, so I don't touch it. But like when I turn 50, you can bet your fucking ass I'm gonna be yoked. I'm gonna hit like 230 once I hit 50.
Oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to hit 230. It's so much weight, dude. You at like 205. What are you at right now? 185?
Oh man, like my scale's out of batteries, but I'm about 210 right now.
No, you're not.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Okay, dude. I thought you were like 185 right now. What did you fight at?
170.
Oh, no shit.
I'm jacked right now, dude. I mean,
jacked, bro.
I mean, I've been on my lifts pretty good.
Yeah.
Getting more discipline on it the last couple of weeks, but I'm getting on those, and then I eat well.
Yeah.
You know, like yeah. I think I'm probably 205 to 210, but like, you know, those the winter holiday calories, you know, I think I beefed up a little bit.
It happens.
Skinny jeans were man, they were like the seams were stretched. Yeah.
My gees were feeling a little bit tight too, going back into jujitsu. But I definitely put on some good amount of muscle too over the last couple of months. I was lifting really hard in order to get myself back fixed. Because I had a lot of muscular imbalances from just from some shit. But you got to go through those phases.
Right. I took like 9 months, almost a year of like taking weight off my squat and trying to fix my technique on my squat. And I finally did 275 the other day. Fucking good technique. Been feeling awesome about that.
And I'm about to be 35 next month. I've gotten rid of this ego lifting mentality, and I realized because my muscles already know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Because I have this mind muscle connection. That's because I've been lifting for years. That's all I need to do. I don't even need that much weight. I don't need that much weight to get the full contraction any longer. So I can save my central nervous system by not going nearly as heavy. Last week though, I was feeling it. I was feeling so good. I went and lifted with my buddy, and I was like, let's fucking go. So I deadlifted. I think I hit 495 for 3. I could have hit 5, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to chill out here because I want to do some heavy rack pulls too.
Yeah, I did my stiff legs yesterday with 365.
There you go. Dude, I didn't know you were that fucking heavy. That's awesome. I thought you were like a little ninja guy.
Now, I spend my training camps around 195.
Okay.
195, 190, 192 is probably perfect spot.
Hell yeah, dude. I definitely want to roll you now. That'd be interesting. Are you more of a roll? Are you more smash and pass? Are you a pretty technical dude?
I can be both, but depends on what I'm doing. If I'm playing jujitsu, it's different than if I'm like fight training.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally different. I'll be lazy and be on my back and do spinny shit or whatever, upside down, whatever, just for fun.
Yeah.
Just because whatever. But if I'm like fight mode and I'm like, I must win to kill, it's different.
Yeah. You turn it up a notch. You go fast off the bat and fucking hammer. Oh man. Cool, dude. I like that. I'm really excited to see what you fucking produce for Fitch Smash too. I'm really interested in that. I definitely want to see something that's like quick and easy, not quick and easy, but like quick, elevated of like, here's what you do to fucking just like start getting going.
Mm-hmm. No, the Fitch Smash is just a baseline. You can build off of it, but it's like the rice burner, your car that you just you put whatever spoiler and whatever on it. I'm like the Acura. I'm like it's the base level Acura, but you can put the NOS in it. You can put the tires, whatever, build off of it. But like it's just a basic blueprint because most people just get a shitload of technique thrown at them, and they got to figure it out on their own. Well, I'm going to show you exactly. Okay, this is how you get back on top every time. This is how you get back to your feet every time.
I'm looking at Matt W talk about some stuff in here. Every vegan man I've met around here is in college or works inside or on a hipster farm. None of them do heavy labor, and they don't look sturdy at all. I asked 2 of them what I should eat for heavy labor on a vegan diet. They said I shouldn't be working that kind of job, period. I asked them what people in the winter should eat up north. They said humans aren't meant to be.
You shouldn't even. Oh, you should quit. You should quit that job. Are you fucking kidding me? These people, they're so.
I think what they want you eating
work. They're so anti-labor.
They want you eating babies.
I don't understand this shit. I just want to play video games, live in a pod, eat bugs.
Yeah, it's like
people at all.
I saw
that sounds too hard. Why would you do that? Just stay in your mom's place, live in the basement, sleep on the couch, play Call of Duty or whatever the fuck they're playing now.
I love listening these people fucking weasel their way out of just logical thinking. Like they make these crazy assertions and then they stand by it till the fucking death. It's insane. Like they just, oh man, it's so fucking insane. But yeah, that's where most people's investments are. I mean, I say this now as a guy who's pretty much fully invested into writing his books and fucking investing into being on YouTube and all this other shit. But most of these kids, all they're doing now is they're trying to become fucking SoundCloud rappers. And now the big thing is fucking TikTok. Like, oh, building a fucking TikTok account where I dance and I do little things and I do all this other stuff to virtue signal. It's like, fuck, you guys don't have any experience in life and are just looking for the easiest way. Like I'm okay with people trying to make money an easy way, but
I mean, that's the thing is though, you're going to have some people who rise to the top and they do make money off of that stuff.
For sure.
You can't completely condemn it because some people are going to get paid, but there's a lot of pretenders out there too. And they're just like in any industry, you're going to have people who suck and don't understand that they suck and they're never going to get anywhere. You got a guy who's 4'11", who's like determined to play professional basketball.
Right.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to put some more lines in the water to find something that works. And if you're just starting off, 100% into TikTok, maybe you should pay the bills first and do that as your side project.
Yeah. I agree with that. When you're younger, you need to hedge your bets a little bit more. You need to go and you need to get invested in a trade or two before you just invest fully into, like, have some kind of fallback plan. My fallback plan, believe it or not, is this. Like, I can always go. Number one, like my entire life, what I was raised to do is just pick up heavy things from point A and move them to point B. So I can always go and do some kind of manual labor. I could go and probably work on a fucking oil rig if I need to. Like
I could be a contractor. I could build stuff.
Right. That's the next thing too, though, is I could actually go, because of my job skills in the military, I can go and be a no kidding contractor. Right. So I have that to fall back onto. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I could fall back onto based off of all the skills that I have. I have an engineering technician fucking certification. I have a whole bunch of stuff that I can do. I'm actually a certified meteorologist. Like, I have a degree in meteorology. I could go do that if I want to. The thing is this: when you just decide to take the easy route really early on in life and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to take the path of least resistance, you don't build any of the fucking soft skills that are needed, honestly, for you to make it when life gets hard. Because as we talked about a little bit earlier, you're going to fail at things. I failed quite a few things in my life, like big things, right? I fucking
often early. That's where you learn the fastest.
Exactly.
When you're in jiu-jitsu class, if you're not ever trying the new technique, like that was the thing, like MOTD, right? I used to yell at MOTD, move of the day, because we would learn a move that day, and it was my goal to finish it. Like I had to hit that move that day. Like everybody knew what was coming because we all worked on it that day.
Sparring, you're like, I need to hit the move of the day.
I have to hit it. Like, what's the point? Like, even if I didn't like the technique, I would force myself to hit it correctly and successfully before I said, okay, I'm not going to use that. So like, I never got it the first time. Like you fail, you figure some things out, and then boom, you hit it finally. Move of the day, MOTD.
Dave Calras, I believe that's your name, says, this is a great podcast. You guys are going to be successful. Keep up the great work. My man, please do hit that subscribe. I don't think I've seen you around before. Hit the subscribe. Also share this with some friends. That's only going to help us get bigger and better. I appreciate that. Has anyone seen Hail Satan documentary? I have not. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't watched anything probably in the last week or two. Anything. And I don't have any streaming services. And
I watched,
so
the most recent movie I watched was a beautiful piece of work called Peanut Butter Falcon.
Don't know what that is.
Absolutely amazing. It's about a Down syndrome kid who escapes from the care facility he's in, which is an old folks home, to find a pro wrestling school.
Dang.
It's awesome. It's Shia LaBeouf is in it, and he fucking killed that role. I highly recommend anybody. Peanut Butter Falcon. Go watch that shit and try not to cry.
Ugh.
It's a really great movie.
I watched all 3 of the Lord of the Rings.
And there's a great scene where Shia is talking to this girl, and it's a beautiful lesson on game.
Ooh, let's hear about it.
Right? Because just like his delivery, the way he's talking to her, the way he's flirting, right? He's being the cocky, funny guy, right? She even flips him off after the first encounter. Of course, he had his hooks in her already. It's really well done movie. It's awesome.
I like it. Something I got to look into.
Yep.
I always when it comes to me,
Prime, I think.
Yeah, when it comes to me trying to figure out what movies to watch, I just kind of draw a blank now. I used to be a big movie buff. I used to love movies, and now
they got shitty. In the last decade, they started to get shitty, and then every once in a while, a gem pops up. The Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that was pretty good.
I hope you saw that. That was a really good movie.
It was pretty good, but even that, it wasn't on the level of a lot of the movies that were in the late 90s.
For sure. I think the reason why it's a gem right now is because it's actually somewhat nostalgic of early 2000s.
Yep, I agree.
Like 1990.
I feel that, things started to go downhill in the 2000s. Sure. And then by the time I hit 2010, everything was shit.
It was just, absolutely. Anyway, with that said, I need to go make a potty, and I need to get going anyway. And I know you probably got to get going too, because the kiddos.
It's ready for jiu-jitsu.
So why don't you take us out real quick on what you're working on and how people can find you? And
go to jonfitch.net and sign up for the newsletter, and you'll be up to date on everything. I've got podcasts, Jon Fitch Knows Nothing. Check that out. I have a seminar coming up January 18th. It's coming up not this weekend, next weekend. Basic self-defense based off of the Fitch Smash system. And I'll be doing a number of these seminars around. I'm going to try to get at least one in a month. So I've been reaching out to a lot of different gyms and locations, starting off locally in San Jose. I'm hoping I can get down to San Diego, actually, maybe in March. March or April, May, one of those months. Sometimes, hopefully, I'll be able to work that out. But yeah, I'm going to put a lot more time into this basic self-defense course, and then hopefully I'll be able to perfect it, and then shoot a video course so I can put my basic self-defense up as a video course for people to go and check out.
I like it. Cool. Gentlemen, please do. Obviously, in the description below, you can find everything that I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, you can also find links to all Jon's stuff as well. on top of some ballsy ball wash. I still got that posted in there. But for me, please do go and check out thwartribe.com, www.thwartribe.com. It is the front line right now of pushing back against this SJW feminist indoctrination of the world by turning men into men. I try to simulate in a way a newfound type of rite of passage or a means to help men get better. The thing with this too, as well, is it's not just the forum. Every Sunday at 5:00 Pacific Standard Time, I do a 2-hour webinar with these guys where they get to ask me direct questions, and we kind of do a mastermind group as well, where we're able to connect people and help them get better in all the environments or their most pressing issue. So do that as well. If you're interested as well, online dating mastery. Online dating should be the foundation by which you are getting involved in your dating life right now. That's where you're going to get the most access to women, the highest level of access to women, as well as fine tune your approaches and your conversation, which are the hardest parts of talking to women. I go over how to set up your profile in there. I tell you what services to use as far as which platforms to go on, how to set up your photos, how to talk to women, all the like. If you're having trouble and struggling and getting results with online dating, you need to purchase that course, and I will put that in the what's it called right now as we speak. Okay. With that said, that's all I have for you. If you do feel so inclined to buy my book, do so. It's called Live Your Best Life in 30 Days. But I'd much rather you either become a member of thwartribe.com or buy my course first. With that said, I'm going to bid you gentlemen adieu. John and I are going to be out of here, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow at 4 p.m. I'm about to go live on Masculine Geek at 5:30 tonight, so in an hour and a half. With that said, yeah, fuck it. Take care, everybody. See ya.
Laters.
Hit that like button too. Bye.